Hello everybody, Rod Shelley here, and got our friends G4 and Arwen here playing Suicide Squad. I think G4 makes a great Harley. Anyway, moving along. What I want to do today is create an image based on this screenshot. This is Mera from the Aquaman movie, and this is just a screenshot off of my DVD. And what I want to do is something based on this picture. It's not going to be an exact copy of it, but just kind of an inspired by the same kind of a feeling. So we shall get started here. We have Victoria 4. Yes, I still use Victoria 4 a lot. So, let's put her in a pose, and I'm going to try to remember not to leave the second screen up in the way the whole time like I did last time I tried this. So what I'm going to do, I'm recording this with OBS Studio. And it's a pretty cool screen recorder. It allows me to do a lot of neat things. Learned about that from my friend Javis Lewis over at WP Guru. So we're going to bring the second screen up here temporarily. And I'm going to drop this down into the basement. Let's go to Characters, V4 only. Let's go to Poses. That might be more what we want. And let's go up to Characters. And I am going to scroll down. The character I want to use for this, the character morph, is Alba by Sid Rose Graphics. Where are you? There's Alba. And going to use the morphs here. Inject all. And then I'm going to take that away because we don't want any YouTube getting all freaky deaky because there's nudity. I'm not going to use the skins yet until I put some clothes on her, or use any of the materials for her until I get her in position and get clothing on her. That way there won't be any problems with showing bare boobs or anything. So we can't have that. Anyway, got her morphs put into Victoria now. So let's go to Poses. I want to put her in kind of a nice floaty pose like she's in the water. And I have some nice poses. There's a really nice pose by Jenny Pixeluna, my good buddy Pixeluna. I've known her almost from the first day I started with Poser back in 2009. And we've been friends ever since. And I'll give her a little bit of a shout out. She creates some amazing characters, so you know, over at Daz 3D. So go over and check her stuff out. It's excellent. Okay, let's give it this Fairy Flight 2. And now let's remember to go down here and take that away. And let's rotate Vicky just a little bit here. Let's rotate her this way and rotate her this way. What we want to do is kind of get something close to this. You know, she's a little bit more straight up and down than this, so we'll rotate it like that, like that. That's looking pretty close. I'll get rid of the ground because we don't need it. I want to make the background a little darker. And we're going to bring this leg down a little bit. Probably won't see a whole lot of that because in the original, you know, it's just right about hip level is where it cuts off. So straighten this arm out a bit, bring it down, bring this arm down just a touch, maybe twist this a little bit, kind of like that. And she's kind of looking off camera this way, so maybe about 12 on the side to side on the eyeballs. Okay, let's put her in. She's got kind of a bodysuit on here, so I am going to go over and use there we go. Let's go to 3D Age, and I am going to use their police uniform 2 actually. I like 3D Age's stuff because it just works. I mean, there's a very minimal amount of poke through on most items. It just works. So let's grab the suit, and I'm going to drag it over here. I'm going over to my menu on the other screen, which is why you can't see what I'm doing. In the interest of time, I'm not switching that on every single time I go over there. Okay, now we've got her dressed, so nobody at YouTube has a kitty cat. So now we're going to go down to, I'll turn this on again momentarily so you can see what I'm doing. Put OBS in the basement. And we're going to go back to SRG's Alba. That's SAV, that's hair. I've got so much stuff on here, it's ridiculous. Alright. Let's go to characters. B4. And scroll back down to SRG. Where is it? I know it's here someplace. There we are. I hadn't collapsed it from last time. So it's up, 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 up. It sounds like Gollum, didn't it? Going up the stairs. Up, 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 up. Okay, skins. Let's put the default skin on, and we'll switch it to eyes real quick. Give her some nice blue eyes. Lashes are fine. Makeup, we'll give her kind of a bluish aqua. Darken the lips just a bit. Nails, kind of a nice blue, shiny. Like that. Now, let's go ahead and get rid of this again so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to try to warm her skin up just a little bit. This is looking a little... Alba has a real kind of a pale skin. She's a fairly pale skinned character, the way Raven designed her. So I'm going to go to Scripts, Easy Skin 2 by Snarly Gribbly, which is a wonderful, wonderful little Python script. I'm going to go ahead and warm that up. This is looking just about right. So we'll hit the button, warm the skin up just a skosh, kind of like that. And that gives it kind of a nice warm glow. I think that is still free over at Share CG, Easy Skin 2. I use it virtually all the time because it does such a fantastic job. Okay, now she's looking good. Let's see. Head's probably tilted down just a little bit. So bend it down about like that. Okay, now we're going to put hair on her, obviously. So let's close clothing. And hair is open. We're going to go down to SAV, Studio Art, Bartarian, Joanna. She left us way too soon. Way too young. And we're going to do the zero gravity hair. And I actually double clicked. I usually just drag it over and conform it, but that's alright because we can conform it right here. Okay. Now we're going to go in here and I want to give it that nice red color that Mera had in the movie. So let's go down to hair, hair before, and again I'm over on the other monitor, so I'm not going to switch it on for every single thing I do over here because I keep forgetting, and then it gets in here and gets in the way and you can't see what I'm doing, and then I have to do this over again like I have for the last, what, this is about the 4th time now. Okay, the hair selected, we're going to use this red, and it's already looking nice and floaty. And we're going to go in. She's got some style presets here, and if you look at the picture, it's pretty much close to what it is with just a standard pose. Might be floating off a little bit to the left, to her right. So let's find one. It's kind of sort of like that. I think I am going to use, how's this one look? That's pretty much going straight up. That's pretty much going everywhere. Yeah, let's try a little style movement here. Seemed like one of these. Yeah, that kind of moves it a little bit. Okay, that moves it. That moves it to the right. to her left. And let's try something else. It doesn't have to be exactly the way it is, because like I said, it's just a it's a based on, not an exact copy. So let's try this one. And look at our reference one more time. Yeah, I think I'm going to opt for something that's a little bit more going up rather than to the side. Let's try this. I think I tried that one before. It looks pretty good. In the interest of not making this terribly long and boring, I'm going to just leave it like this. I might fiddle with it a little bit later, but anyway, that's kind of the idea. Now, in the image, again, you don't see her full body. It's cut off right about the hips. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera in and down a bit and kind of go for the same look. You can't see her hands in the screenshot, so maybe just a little bit of hands there. This is pretty close to what we have there. I'm going to move her over to the left just a bit. And let's take a quick test render. And then we'll make her her bodysuit look a little bit more like what Mera's does in the screenshot. So that's not bad. That, you know, that could easily be underwater with your hair floating up like that. Okay, I think that's going to work. So now I'm going to open this other thing up one more time. And let's go to our materials. And I am going to grab one of Parrot Dolphin's fantasy mats. I believe these were a freebie actually, and you know, Parrot Dolphin's stuff is always excellent. So let's pick the suit base, and we'll pick this. It's kind of a shiny surface, and I'm going to do the zipper base with one that's just a little bit darker. That way there won't be a distracting dark line there. And let's see how that looks. Takes a little while to get through that hair, and this is of course just the test size. I'll use a much larger size when we go for the production render. Matter of fact, I'll probably make it 3840 by 2160. That's 16 by 9 aspect ratio, so it could be used for wallpaper. So, okay, yeah, I'm liking that. Now I might play with the lighting just a little bit. Let's go to the auxiliary camera, bring this down, and this is kind of the backlight, the kicker rim light for us photographers. I'm going to move it this way a little bit. I'm going to change the color to a kind of a greenish aqua, befitting an underwater scene. And see, I've got this nice glow here. And it's adding a little bit of that aqua to the hair, which is okay. Like I said, we're underwater, and we'll make it look even more like underwater once the final render is done and we jump into Photoshop. So yeah, it's giving kind of a nice aqua highlight here on her shoulder. So okay, that's about what we want. So I am going to change the render dimensions. So let's do that. 3840 by 2160. I usually change this to 300 in case I want to print it. If I want to post it online, then I can change it back to 72 DPI in Photoshop. And we'll get the render started. And I'm not going to make you sit here and be bored while it renders this. It doesn't take too long, but in the interest of time, I'll go ahead and pause it while it renders the large version. Okay, our render is done. And everything's looking good. Pretty happy with the result. So I think what we're going to do next is jump over into Photoshop and make it look like we're actually underwater. So let's go play in Photoshop. Okay, we're over here on my Photoshop computer now, and we have lovely Miss Pamela standing here by the railroad tracks getting ready to do a little hunting. So let's bring up Photoshop. And I've already gone ahead and done a little bit of prep work here so you don't get to be bored watching me stumble around trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing. So I've brought in the PNG file of Mera, our version of Mera, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the second monitor here, and I'm going to drop OBS down to the basement. I've got my layers here, and we'll start from the bottom. These are just some photographs that I took in several places. I've got this kind of funky background that looks like it belongs underwater. And then I've got another one that I took at the old ruined castle at Tahahatonka in Camdenton, Missouri. I have made some layers here with a little bit of blue or green. I'm not sure how well you can see that. Yeah, let's take that second monitor out so you can see what I'm doing. And again, I'll just turn the layers on one at a time. That's the back layer again, and layer from Hahatonka. And we've got a kind of a greenish layer here. I've got it in multiply mode, in the background, and then another greenish layer here. And what that does is it drives the back layer further back. It's a little darker, as it would be. And then I've got another layer with you know, over the top of Mera, so that it has a little bit of an underwater look. You know, it wouldn't be if you were looking at her, if you were down there scuba diving with her, it wouldn't be quite as much contrast as looking at her in sunlight. But I'm going to leave that layer off for right now. I'm probably going to turn this one off for right now. And actually, let's go ahead and turn these other two layers off. And we're going to go in and do a little bit of filtering. Let's go to the blur gallery and to try field blur. And a little bit too blurry there. We're gonna, not sure quite why it's doing that down at the bottom. I think what I need to do is get a different graphics card for this thing. Maybe, I don't know, I might look at putting a GTX 1080 in here. The price on the GTX cards is hopefully coming down now that the RTX cards are all the rage. So, yeah, I'd say that blur is pretty good. So let's click OK. Let Photoshop do its magic. And let's put this like so, and bring our next layer up. And we're going to do a little bit of fun and games on this one. Probably a little bit of blur too. Probably I'm going to use, I might just use Gaussian blur on this one, because it's a little closer. We don't want it to be too blurred out. Kind of like that. And what we're going to do, let me pop on my other monitor. What I'm going to do is on this layer, I'm going to go ahead and add a layer mask. And what I'll do is paint with black on the layer mask and start fading out. Where are we? I will start fading out these areas over here, you know, kind of like a vignette. So I'm going to grab a brush. I freaked out yesterday because I fired up Photoshop and all my brushes were gone except just a very, very few basic ones. So I'm like, what in the world happened here? And pretty much spent most of the day getting that figured out. And the only thing I can think of is this computer kind of went through a little bit of a freak out mode the night before when I turned it off. It all went black. Again, I think that video card's doing some funny things. It all went black, and I had no control. I had to just do a cold shutdown on it, which I don't like to do. All right, so let's cut the flow back on this to about 40%. Don't really need the pressure sensitivity on the size, just on the flow. But anyway, I ended up spending most of yesterday getting all my brushes back into Photoshop. So we're going to fade this out. You see how we're starting to kind of get that background showing through. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to keep this or not. Right now I'm just kind of experimenting. And it kind of blends in a little bit. I'm going to reduce the size of the brush just a bit and kind of fade this a little bit. There's some funkiness going on there. Just a little bit here and a little bit there. And of course, if I don't like it, I can always hit the X key and paint with white on the layer mask and bring back some features. Give this kind of a funny look back here, kind of a, you know, this is the older part of Atlantis. It's been underwater and not cared for thousands of years. So, okay, and then when we activate the layer up on top of this one, yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I'm pretty happy with the way that's looking. So, now let's turn this layer on. And what I want to do now is kind of add some particulate matter. You know, there's always stuff when you see pictures on under the ocean. There's always stuff floating around. So I'm going to choose a little bit lighter shade of the same green. I don't want it to be too shockingly outstanding. And let's just... Actually, what I want to do is put that on another layer, because this layer is multiply. So I'm going to make a new layer. I'm just going to make it a normal layer. Put it on top for right now till we see what we've got. All right. And we'll just kind of go crazy here for a bit. This is actually a star field brush that I made some time ago. Now let's blur this rascal just a bit. And I don't want to use just a regular blur. I want to use, let's use a motion blur. And we'll turn it kind of this way. Kind of like that. Well, this is going to end up probably being 2 or 3 layers. So something like that. So getting a little bit of particulate flow there. We can reduce the opacity just a touch. And then let's just throw another layer in there. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just, actually what I might kind of do is concentrate on just kind of a beam, like there's a beam of light and all these particulate things are showing up in that light beam. We'll put a beam in there in a little bit. So, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. Now let's do the same thing. Let's go to motion blur. Only we're not going to blur this one quite so much. We want it to stand out a little bit better. Kind of make sure the direction is kind of the same. All right, what did we do here? I must Must have not clicked OK. Must have just hit the X. There we go. Okay, now let's reduce the opacity just a touch here, kind of like that. And we can come in with our softer brush and select the erase tool. Come in with our softer brush. And let's go ahead, let's enlarge that just a bit, and we can kind of gently erase some of the stuff, like right there in her neck shadow. Want to be able to see her face. Something like that. Okay, now the fun begins, and I'm going to probably go switch on the other layer here in just a second, or the other monitor. Let's throw in another layer, and I'm going to make that into a, let's try overlay. Now I'm going to switch on the other monitor and put OBS down in the basement. I don't do this a lot because I forget that I've got the other monitor on, because I'm sitting here looking at the screen, and I'm not seeing OBS with the other screen up. So, and the reason I minimize it, of course, is because you've got all this infinite mirror effect. Oh, I don't want it on that screen. I want it minimized. Okay. Now I'm going to come over here to the brushes, now that I've got them all reinstalled, and I've kind of separated them, organized them a little bit better. So let's grab this light beams and see what we've got. There's a lighthouse beam. A burst. Oh, I might use that. I don't know. Lighthouse beam 2. Burst. Let's use, yeah, let's use burst. Okay? All right, let's turn off the second monitor and grab our brush. And wait a minute, I'm on eraser. I do that all the time too. I leave it on eraser and then I go and grab a brush, and then I'm surprised when it erases something. Okay, let's get a real light greenish and crank up the size of that rascal. Okay, and shaboom. All right, let's try that again. Shaboom. You can see it open up a little bit, but it's not, it's on overlay. Let's try screen. That's a little much. Lighten, linear dodge, lighter color, overlay, soft light. The thing I like about Photoshop since the latest update is you don't have to click on every single blending mode now. Ooh, that's weird. Not what I want, but it's cool. Overlay. Color dodge. Every day is a color dodge day if you watch Ross Tran. I kind of like that. It's a little strong, but let's try it. Let's try messing with the opacity. That's not bad. That's not bad. I kind of like that. So now let's select that layer, do a Control T. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. And let's rotate this layer. And we're going to pull this part of it up here. Make it a little smaller. And the last update to Photoshop, the 2019 update, you used to have to hold down on the Shift key to keep the aspect ratio the same. And the first day after the update, I started freaking out because I pushed on the Shift key. That's what you used to have to do. When I did the Shift key, it started getting all wonky, and I'm like, what in the world did they do? And then I watched, I think it was one of Colin Smith's tutorials, and he was saying, yeah, now it works like every other graphics program. So anyway, enough about that. So I'm going to squish that down a little bit, squish it down a little bit, rotate it a little bit. Okay, and that effect, I'll go ahead and Control 0 to bring it back, and let's crank the opacity down just a teeny tiny bit. So now we've got these beams. It looks like it's underwater. We've got kind of a greenish tint. I may have to, opacity's 54, I might bring that up just a little bit so that, you know, we do have the effect of being underwater. And of course I can always do a neat little trick here, and I'll turn the other monitor on here for just a second and put OBS down in the basement. What the heck was I going to do? I'm going to, yeah. This is the layer that Mera is on. So if I go Control click, it will select her, and then I can come down here and hit the layer mask. And that, Control I, makes her go away. Control I again, so that masks out everything but her. And then if we do Alt and copy, that's not what I wanted. Dagnabbit. That's not what I want, darn you. What I want is just to go up here and I don't know, I like it better without the mask there. So let's delete that. Alright, Control Z, Control Z. That's something else they did in the update. Used to be if you wanted to go back more than one step, you had to hold down Control Alt Z. But now it's just Control Z. And I guess every other graphics program works that way. Everyone that I'm familiar with does. So, alright, let's add another layer up here. And we're going to make it look a little bit, attempt to make it look a little bit more like it's actually underwater. Now, let's bring this back up and shut off the second monitor so you can see what the heck I'm doing. So we've got this other layer here. Now let's add another bit of green to it. Control backspace. Oh, everything went away. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Filter, Filter, Noise, Add Noise, And let's crank this up a bit. Let's do Gaussian, let's do monochromatic. Alright, now we play with the blending modes. Got another couple of ideas. Ooh, that's wild. Linear burn. I'm going to experiment with that a little bit. That darkens it up. That's not quite what I want. So now you're getting a good look at my process that I go through with every image I do. It's pretty much this. Alright, let's play with different layers. Let's try different things until I find something that I really like. Okay, overlay is not looking too bad. So that's with it, that's without it. I think the overlay kind of adds to it. It kind of adds to that underwater feel. We might drop the opacity down just a bit. It's not much. It's about 29 now, 27. So here we go. And again, we could take the mask, or we could actually just make a mask and then go in and paint with black on the mask, kind of like this. Let's make that a little bit bigger, get rid of the airbrush part. We want that to be there. We don't necessarily need to vary the size. And now we can come through and kind of, make her hair glow a little bit. It's kind of getting hit by that light. So we'll put a little bit of glow in her hair and come down, kind of accentuate this glow on the side of her face a little bit, on her outfit, where it's kind of shiny. It's not a huge difference, it's very subtle, but in this kind of a situation, I think that's what we want, is subtlety. Okay. We'll bring a little bit more color back into her skin. It's just a matter of finessing and tweaking and fiddling around with what looks, does this look right? Does that look right? Maybe that doesn't look quite right. There's obviously a little light coming from here, so, what light kind of gets scattered around in the water more than it does in the air. And we can crank back the opacity on this just a bit. That's with. See, this is about, that's 100%. And you see it's real grainy. It makes her look like she's got some horrible thing growing on her face. We don't want that. So about 25%. And that's it. That's my basic workflow. And we'll do a little bit more tweaking on the mask. All right. That's my, again, that's my basic workflow. Much the same when I do a T.N.A. panel, and I will do one of those. I just wanted to, this is kind of experimental. I wanted to start off with something that's not quite so complex, because those can go, I sometimes spend hours on one panel for that. So anyway, Hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to hit the like or leave comments, or if you have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments. And again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.